When you look at what Elon Musk is doing, electric cars, rockets, AI, it can seem kind of all over the place, right? But what if it's all part of one giant connected idea? Okay, let's get into it, because today we're going to distill his entire worldview into a single ladder of abstraction. We're going to climb from his very real companies all the way up to his most profound, mind-bending ideas about reality itself.
And it all starts here, with this one huge, fundamental question. Musk says this is the thing that really drives all of his work. So you got to keep this in mind, because everything we're about to talk about is his attempt to answer it, or maybe more accurately, to figure out how we can even begin to ask it.
Now, here's the key thing to understand. He's not really looking for the answer to life. I mean, the book famously jokes that the answer is 42. No, he thinks the universe itself is the answer. So our job as humanity isn't to find some new answer, it's to expand our collective consciousness so we get smart enough to finally understand the right question to ask in the first place.
Okay, so let's move to the first rung on the ladder and see how this all connects. Before we can even think about asking these huge cosmic questions, we first have to build the tools to connect all of humanity into a kind of single, collective mind, right here on Earth.
And this is where it gets really interesting, seeing how he views his platform, X, so differently from everything else. He looks at most social media and just sees a dopamine-generating video stream, something built to keep you endlessly scrolling. His vision for X? It's totally different. He wants to build a global town square.
And this slide really lays out the whole plan. See, he's not just building another app, he's trying to build infrastructure by putting together text, video, secure calls, and this is a big one, automatic translation. The whole point is to tear down barriers, improve how information flows between us, and get us a little bit closer to a true collective consciousness.
To really get his logic, you have to hear this powerful analogy he uses. Think about it, about 30 trillion tiny individual cells all work together to create a single, conscious human being. So he thinks, why can't billions of connected humans create a higher-level global consciousness? It's all just a matter of scale.
So what's the payoff? Why does any of this matter? Well, because a collection of humans, when they can share information really well, can do things that are just impossible for any one person. You can't build a spaceship by yourself. I can't. But humanity, working together, we absolutely can.
All right, let's climb one rung higher on the ladder, and here we hit the great disruptor, artificial intelligence. Musk is convinced that AI is about to trigger a change so big, so fundamental, that it's going to rewrite the rules for entire society.
And there it is, the change, summed up in one pretty startling prediction. He's basically arguing that with AI and robotics getting so good, human labor, at least as we know it, is going to become completely unnecessary.
What's really fascinating here is the timeline he's talking about. He thinks that in less than 20 years, work is going to go from being a necessity to being more like a hobby. And get this, it's not a future of universal basic income, where everyone just gets enough to survive. He calls it universal high income, an age of true, unbelievable abundance.
So what does a future like that even look like? Well, it's an age of abundance that's almost hard to imagine, where AI and robots can basically create any goods or services you want. The idea is, if you can think of it, you can have it.
And this, of course, leads to a really interesting logical question. In a world where all your needs and wants are just met, what's the point of money? Does it even need to exist anymore?
Here's the underlying logic. Musk basically sees money as an information system, a database for one thing, allocating human labor. So if AI and robots are doing all the labor, that database becomes useless, money becomes irrelevant, and the only real fundamental currency that's left is energy. Okay, deep breath. We've made it to the top of the ladder. This is the most abstract, the most, mind-bending idea of them all. After rethinking society and the economy, Musk goes one step further and starts to question reality itself.
His main argument is actually a really simple progression. Just think about video games. 50 years ago, we had Pong, just two rectangles and a square. Today, we have these photorealistic universes with millions of people playing at once. So if you just follow that rate of improvement, it seems totally inevitable that eventually games will be completely indistinguishable from the reality we see around us.
And that simple idea leads to the killer question. If any civilization, anywhere, at any time reaches that point where they can create realities, they would probably make billions or even trillions of them, right? So what are the odds that we just happen to be in the one original base reality?
Statistically, he argues, the odds are just overwhelmingly high that we are living inside one of those countless simulations, and the odds that we're in the single original reality, vanishingly small. Okay, whoa. After that trip up to the philosophical stratosphere, let's bring this whole journey right back down to Earth. What does all of this actually mean for us, right now? How do these gigantic ideas translate into something we can actually use?
Well, first, you can suddenly see how his major companies all start to click together. Tesla is mastering AI in the real world. SpaceX, with Starlink, is building global connectivity. And xAI is pushing the absolute limits of intelligence itself. They're all different pieces of the exact same puzzle.
And after all that complexity, that whole massive worldview, his advice for anyone who wants to build something is actually surprisingly simple. This is his core principle. So at the end of the day, his advice is this: don't chase money. Instead, just focus on being a net contributor to society. If you can build useful products and services that create more value than they consume, he believes financial success is just a natural consequence. It'll follow.
And that really brings us right back to where we started. It leaves us with one last, massive, provocative question that ties this whole thing together. If Musk's predictions are right, a future with no work, with anything you want, where reality itself might be a game, what's left to give our lives meaning? What questions will we finally decide to ask?
Thanks for joining us for this explainer. We'll see you on the next one.